Health Canada is proposing labeling ground meat products of beef and pork with a health warning label. I mean, they're treating a perfectly healthy, domestically produced product as if it was cigarettes.
Yeah, it's frustrating to say the least, but that's why groups like ours exist to work on government when they head in directions like this and help them make better informed decisions, we hope.
Yeah, so what do you, I mean, I guess it's speculative on your part, but what would the motivation of such a label be? I mean, philosophically, I don't think the government really should be there telling us and digging so far into what's good or bad for us to eat. We can kind of figure that out on our own. But if you're going to start picking on types of food items, there's a long list of things that are a heck of a lot more unhealthy than beef is. Why are they targeting beef?
Well, and things that will be exempt from this, like, your Halloween candy bars won't have this warning on them, and even though they are high in sugar. So this is kind of an extension of what we already have with, your information label that has, there's so much of these different nutrients and it's such a % of your daily allowances, but it's on the back and you got to go look for it. And so the attempt here is to shove some of that information on sodium, on saturated fat, and on sugar. If they're higher than a certain trigger, then whammo, this warning goes on the front. And really aiming that at, we don't have a calorie deficit here in Canada. We've probably got too much being consumed, and especially in highly processed foods that really are only bringing calories and a few other things. They're not bringing the nutrients that you need in a balanced diet. And we talked about it in COVID, slowing down, cooking more, and ground beef's a big part of that.
Well, it goes into so many meals for us, and it's a cost-effective way to consume beef, and everything's about, I mean, if you listen to any reasonable dietitian, they talk about it's moderation is everything. I mean, yeah, you don't want to eat a pound of regular ground beef every day. You're going to have a problem. But you don't want to eat a bucket of ice cream every day either. It doesn't mean that the product was bad. It's how you utilize it.
It is, and balance is so important. And we think that that protein, along with other things, is what beef is so great at providing. Iron deficiency is a real thing, even here in Canada for certain parts of the population. And iron's available in different ways from different food products. And one of the most available ways is from red meat. So that's something that gets lost in this, whether you've got, babies or mothers in their childbearing able years. This is a real challenge. So anything that gets in the way of people being able to meet those needs, whether it's, like I said, iron, vitamin B12 is also something that we're seeing shortages of, and you can fix it easily with a Taco Tuesday or we call them dad burgers in my house, but cheeseburgers on the grill in this season are huge, simple, and kids will eat it. There's a lot of other things that are harder to get my kids comfortable with, but those two are home runs all the time, and we need to do,
well, that's it,
not get in the way of that.
And parents, I mean, they naturally want, of course, their children to be as healthy as possible. So I mean, they can be afraid if they see labeling saying, "Oh my Lord, I've been feeding my kids something dangerous." I mean, we don't want to take options. These proteins, actually, particularly single ingredient ones, non-processed stuff, is with a growing family, plus with the budgetary constraints right now, ground beef is a fantastic, cost-effective way to get that to the family. And if you got parents suddenly afraid that, "Oh my Lord, have I been feeding them something bad?" it puts more pressure on the family financially. It stresses them, and it's taking a perfectly healthy, safe item out of their grocery list.
Healthy, simple, affordable, what so many parents are looking for when your time's stretched. And if you're chasing after kids, you probably are, along with, work and everything else. So it is big. And, Dr. Sangeeta Sharma out of University of Alberta was looking at this a few years back now, and just looking at, urban at-risk populations. And she found that ground beef was the most affordable way to get the nutrients that are most at shortage in these at-risk populations. So doing anything to get in the way of that is, to me, counter to helping our whole population be healthier in the future.
Yeah, and from what I've been hearing in the reports, that would, if this happens, it's not done yet, so perhaps we can knock some common sense back into them. But Canada would be the only nation on the entire world that labels beef this way, right?
That's my understanding. Yeah, and so that's, that's concerning for several reasons, but one of them is trade as well. We export about half of what we produce, and most of the places that we export our beef to, we're competing with others, and especially the locals, and they look for any way to get a leg up on our product as we compete in their marketplace. And having our own domestic warning sign on there, I can't see as anything but helpful to those protectionists trying to say, well, look, even their own government thinks this is not worth treating as good as our much superior product. So it does worry me as a, kind of kicking us in the shin as we try to walk into other markets and compete.
Well, yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up. And it is very competitive. I remember how eager some producers were in other markets when Mad Cow was going around. Just, it was more market oriented than safety oriented, and trying to point out how dangerous Canadian beef was. And if they could find another excuse to say, look at that, they don't even trust their own meat, we shouldn't be bringing it in, we should just buy here. And as you said, half of our meat gets exported. So this employs a whole lot of Canadians. I mean, this is a big industry for us. It's important to us.
It is, and it's not just in Saskatchewan, it's across the country. We're proud of what cattle bring to the environment, because they turn a lot of land that you can't grow crops on into food producing land, and that's everywhere across the country. So from PEI to Vancouver Island, there's cattle out there grazing and renewing that land and employing people along the way. It's important in every riding pretty much. So that's an important part of why we're talking to as many people as we can to reach out to their MP, and especially if they live in where a cabinet minister is, to tell them that this is not a good road to be going down. There is some political need there, and like I said, that's why groups like Canadian Cattlemen, Saskatchewan Cattlemen, the National Cattle Feeders are active on this file to make sure they know just what they're doing and what's at risk.
Yeah, well, and people just don't want to, we can't let these initiatives slide under the radar. I mean, it's incremental things that are motivated by, I don't know, perhaps an ideologically driven individual within Health Canada. And maybe if enough members of Parliament raise their heads up and say, hey, wait a minute, my constituents aren't too thrilled with this, they might re-examine it.
It's exactly how it works. Yeah, there's all kinds of ideas that get thrown forward and don't see the light of day because just like you said, whether it's at the MP level or at the advocacy level group that like we bring forward, that shine a light on maybe that needs to go back to the drawing board or to be done a little different, because being the only beef around the world that has that, and even the only single ingredient product in Canada, just doesn't make sense. So we're hoping that some cooler heads can prevail and we can move on to growing and improving our competitiveness here in Canada.
Yeah, I mean, you still got a very busy time and challenging industry to work within as it goes, without having to battle your own local health regulators while you're at it. So hopefully, you get the pressure on and get them back off, so you can focus more again on marketing and better production techniques and all the rest of the stuff your associations typically deal with.
Indeed.
So what could people do then? I mean, they can email their MPs, they can support associations. Like, are there resources online that they can go towards to quickly be able to reach out and bring attention to this?
Yeah, there is. And it's something that's, it's been interesting to see how it goes. There is an online campaign going on as well that is don't label my beef. Oh shoot! Now I need to remember if it's .com or now I'm looking up my links to that, and I'm not finding it right off. But I'll get that to you just in a moment.
Yeah, well, that's all right. I did it on my opening monologue the other day, and I entitled it "Get Your Hands Off My Meat." But I imagine you guys are going to be a little more restrained and politically correct with how you're approaching it. But it's just good, memorable things so people can all jump in and take part and help out and trying to inject some common sense into this issue.
Well, that's right. And there's two things. I mean, we like to provide people that outlet, and it's a way that smooths it out, and they can go to, it's don'tlabelmybeef.ca, and it's a pretty slick way to fire off some feedback to your MP. But a phone call and a personal outreach are probably more impactful. So there's lots of people that do know their MP or do know their MLA, their Minister of Health. That direct outreach makes it real to them. They sure do value feedback from their voters. You know, I'm one voice in Capital City, and they're like, yeah, Ryder, I hear from you, but I haven't been hearing this from my constituents. So maybe when I do, then I'll give you a call back, and it'll be more important to me. So people thinking that no, it's being handled by our associations. It is. But that local grassroots outreach turns up the give a care factor by politicians a lot. So that's really helpful when people do step forward in those forums and do write letters and do make phone calls.
It's great to remind them. We talked a little bit about that actually with the Senate, just as prior to your coming on as well. You know, even senators, they respond to things as well, actually, and they've been more responsive lately. And we got to remind them of that now and then, and let them know that we appreciate their efforts, or when we don't appreciate. But if you don't talk to them, they could live in a bubble. And it's not associations that get them reelected; it's voters. So if you're calling them up, you can have an impact. Absolutely. So that's at don'tlabelmymeat.ca.
Don't label my beef.ca.
Don't label my beef. Oh, geez, thank you. See, that's why I corrected it. Don't label my beef.ca. Don't listen to everything I say, guys. Make sure we listen to these guests. They know what they're talking about. Well, I appreciate that. And then and again, I think I had it the old term way of saying Saskatchewan Cattlemen's Association, but Saskatchewan Cattle Association. Now we get less gender specific. I appreciate you coming on to talk to us about that today, and just, to stand up for such an important industry and give us the means and a direction to point us at, so that we can head this one off at the pass before this misguided initiative gets entrenched.
Well, I appreciate coming on here. I think there's lots of things that people hear a little bit about, and when we can have a conversation in front of a bunch of them and just shine a little more light on it, hopefully, everybody's a little more informed and going forward with some more information.
That's it. And we got these great modern communication means now, so we can reach a lot of people pretty fast. So hopefully this one's far from a done deal, and we can stop that and then get back to doing the business we'd rather focus on. So thank you very much for joining us today on short notice like that too, and talking about this. And I wish you the best on this.
Yeah, you bet, Corey. Thanks for having me, and right back at you. Wish you all the best. Take care.
Thank you.